So I'm gonna attempt not to bore you. We'll see what happens. Alrighty, so it's doing that outside, so, you know, I'm not messing with that at all. I'm doing this. So today I'm gonna be taking some of the plants that I started in the sandwich bags and planting them into a seed starting container. Now, why didn't I do that already? Why didn't I just plant it right in the seed container to start it? I have to maximize the amount of space that I have. I have very limited space inside, and I need to use like all of these because I got lots of plants. So the thing is, if I started all the seeds in here, there are gonna be some seeds that absolutely do not germinate, and then, you know, I've kind of wasted a space, and I don't know, I just like to make sure that everything is already set and going before I start using this. So that's just me, and that's a preference, and you can do it any way that you want. This is the way that I'm gonna do it. These are the tools that I'm using: vermiculite, a plant mister, water, a liquid fertilizer, a cup, and a pair of scissors. Vermiculite almost reminds you of sand. It's really grainy, and you know, it's initially very dry, so when you're adding water to it, it can get kind of messy, so you want to be real careful. So I'm just going to be adding a little bit of water to each little section, and to get it moist. When you start seeing growth like this, they really need to come out of the bag. And some of them are not at this stage and will stay in there probably for another few days or another week. Just depends on how they grow. But when I start to see growth like this, it's time to come out. So I'm going to show you how I get them out of the paper towel. This is probably going to be a little bit of a challenge to film because I'm using my phone and I don't have any fancy equipment yet. So I'm going to try to show you this in stages, but basically I need both of my hands to pull this out, but I'll show you what happens while I do it. Now, beans really grow super fast, and they don't have to necessarily be grown in a paper towel this way. The reason I did it like this was because this is from older seeds, and I wasn't sure how many were still great, and so I just threw it in here with the rest of them. So, but as you can see, these grow pretty fast. Come on, aren't these ground cherries cute? Your fertilizer comes with instructions, so it's important to kind of follow those instructions to the best to the best way that you can, because you don't want to burn your plants. Now, initially the plants don't need fertilizer. It's not until they start putting on their true leaves that they actually need some food, you know. But because I'm growing, you know, I grow these in a hydroponic system, and that means that I grow in water versus growing in soil. Then I want to go ahead and kind of add the nutrient solution, so that way, you know, it just kind of prepares them, and they'll go from this stage to moving on to a bigger container. So, you know, just try to follow the directions. You'll notice water in each little section. That's good enough for right now, because you don't want them growing in water without air. So, you know, just give them a little bit of water to soak up, and let them get a little bit of growth on them, and then we're going to transplant them into something bigger. Now, a lot of people use tags to write down, you know, what they're growing so that they don't forget what they're growing, which is definitely something that can happen. It's definitely happened to me, but I stopped using tags because indoors. Outdoors, sometimes I need them, but indoors, I can just use a grid and write down, you know, what is going in each space, and then, you know, I can also reuse this as needed. Now when I put a hole in, I'm going all the way down to the bottom without poking a hole in the container. And the vermiculite, like sand, moves wherever I want it to go, and it kind of stays there without collapsing in, which is also another cool reason to use vermiculite. Now, some would say that vermiculite is not, sustainable, and they would have a point there. Indoors, I treat things a little differently than I do outdoors. I need both my hands, sorry. So here's a good example. One seed germinated, the other one did not. See, and that would have been a wasted cell that I would have been like, oh, is this alive? Is this not alive? So using the envelope is an easy way for me to see, like, hey, this one's dead, and I don't have to worry about wasting a spot. If you have a stubborn piece of paper towel, you can like trim it off a little bit and just leave it. It doesn't hurt anything. So they weren't all ready yet, so this is kind of my chart of keeping track of how much space I have left. Okay, so after they're planted, I just put them under grow lights, and I'm going to continue to water them, but I'm going to water them from the bottom to encourage their roots to go that way. They are going to very quickly outgrow this space, and when they do, I will be transplanting them into a larger hydroponic system. Right now I'm not ready to stick them all in there just yet, so I want them to get a little bit more growth on them, and then we can do that. So the light is about 4 inches away from the plants right now, which is actually kind of cutting it close. I think they should definitely be a little bit closer, but right now that's just gonna have to do. Forgot to mention last time is that some seeds require light for germination, and some require darkness, and some don't give a crap. They just want moisture. So you gotta kind of find out ahead of time what you need. And for those, if it needs light, just stick it under a light. So I hope I didn't bore you tremendously. This is just one way to kind of maximize your space when you're growing indoors. Thanks for watching.